Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined as ever by Ewan Patterson, because we've already had some GTA news this morning. And what's the butter on our bread of the WhatCulture Gaming, news spread, Ewan? It's Batman Arkham rumors, all right. We've got some tasty ones for you today. Plonk, hum. It's I don't know where I was going with that. I'm so sorry. That's just happened. But the news is actually really interesting. Apparently, the latest Batman game coming from WB Montreal is not going to be set in the Arkham universe, which to me sounds mad. Ewan has more details. Please tell me more.
Yeah, Josh, the Arkham stuff is really like, I think I'm going to have no hair by the end of the year in terms of where we're at with the Arkham rumors. I've been waiting 5 years for this, man. I mean, I had Arkham Knight, and then after that, I was like, oh wow, Montreal must be working on the next thing. It should be coming out in 2016, 2017 at the latest.
Surely.
And then it was in 2017. I was like, oh, it'll be 2018. It'll be 2018. And then 2018 didn't happen. Then it'll be 2019. And obviously didn't happen in 2019. So I'm all a little bit kind of, frustrated by the whole thing. But, video game development is a long and arduous process. We've known that they've had various different games cancelled over the course of the last 7 years, including a Suicide Squad game that would have been a sequel to Arkham Origins, a Damian Wayne game which would have been a sequel to Arkham Knight, and the Arkham Legacy game, which we've kind of been talking about a lot recently, which is meant to be, I think, a sequel to Arkham Origins, which is all we've kind of been assuming is what the next Batman game is going to be, involving the Court of Owls, the League of Assassins, and all sorts of different Bat factions coming at you in this way. But over the course of the last month, a bunch of rumors were beginning to emerge online. There was some stuff emerging on Reset Era about kind of, the next Arkham game, the next Batman game from WB going to surprise everyone. There was talk maybe that it could have been a reboot. And now geeks worldwide have led with a report this morning, that they say is an exclusive, that the next Batman game isn't going to be an Arkham title. It's actually going to be a full reboot, which is big, big news. And not only this, Josh.
Come on.
Not only this, it's going to release later this year, quote, fall 2020. So, yeah. They say that the game is going to be, quote, a soft reboot of the Arkham franchise. And it's going to, so basically they had the Damian Wayne game.
Yep.
That was originally going to be announced at the 2016 Video Game Awards, apparently.
Madness.
And then they cancelled it, and obviously that didn't happen. And we had all the other stuff going on. And oh my God, what a surprise this is.
I don't know, right, okay, a lot to pass through here. First of all, the fact that the next game won't be set in the Arkhamverse is kind of mad to me, just because of how much of a known quantity, Batman Arkham is. It's what we tag all of our articles as, is what we use as sort of a working title. As popular as Batman is, I think there's so much goodwill behind the Arkham branding, and it's strange to drop it, especially when, the first, all 4 games essentially were planning this wider universe. We had references to other characters. In Arkham Knight, we famously had a lot of references to Superman and Lex Luthor. It felt like this was untapped potential for WB to build their own in-game universe, but now it seems like they're at least soft rebooting that and moving it away and still trying to do the in-game universe thing, but separate from the first 4 games, which is
so weird.
It's an odd move. It's an odd move in a series of odd moves by WB over the past 5 years.
It's weird because me, Rich, and Scott were talking about this. My predictions for the Arkham, I think I mentioned that Batman Arkham Legacy, whatever it was going to be called, was going to release this year. That was my prediction on the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast, which you can listen to on all places that podcasts are listened to. I did that very well. But you can listen to it. And basically, I did mention that I thought it was going to release this year, and then Scott brought up the prospect that maybe it's going to be a reboot, because I don't necessarily see, and that was more down to him having personal frustrations with the Arkham name getting used everywhere, because admittedly it does kind of get awkward. You're trying to think of different ways to tie in the Arkham stuff. If you're going to make a Superman game, how are you going to tie it into the Arkhamverse? And when you have an entire video game universe that is built around Batman, that raises all sorts of implications as well, no matter how compelling and unique the Arkhamverse is. And I completely agree with you, Josh. Batman himself is a big seller, but the Batman Arkham series, the Arkhamverse, is such a unique thing, and it is so difficult to build, a new interpretation of a comic universe in different mediums. Obviously, we saw great success with the MCU, and in terms of with video games, certainly the Batman Arkham series. So it's very much a shock to me that they're actually going through this, especially when I thought there was so much more potential to tap into with that universe.
Yeah.
Obviously Rocksteady ended it on their own terms, for better or for worse, with Arkham Knight, but you still had so much you could have done in the past. Batman Arkham Asylum revolves around the character at the peak of his abilities. Arkham Origins was set years before, and there was so much you could have probably done to fill in the gaps. But maybe, WB Montreal looking at this and basically saying, you know what, we want to put our own stamp on the character. You know, even though Arkham Origins I thought was a great game, maybe they're looking at that and going, it's still Rocksteady's baby at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to have a clean break with that and basically do our own thing.
Yeah, that could be it. Like, to make a universe that's, you know, more inclusive. Because, like you said, even though Origins is great, and I think actually Scott Tailford's going through it right now and absolutely
after years of me just going,
play it. I promise. Yeah, it is very much a sort of identifiable with Rocksteady as a company, and it's their world essentially, and in any other studios are more or less just playing in it. They've established the timeline, they've established the characters, and I do think they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with the ending of Arkham Knight being so strange and so weird. Like it's all bad. Yeah. I was trying to be a bit polite, but kind of not great. And we've obviously seen apparently, you know, WB Montreal try to either pick up from that or go into the past, and it hasn't worked. These projects keep being cancelled, so a clean break might have just been necessary. We can have and we can enjoy the Arkham Batman series, but now we'll get you know, a new take on that, a fresh take, something that obviously uses, I no doubt, the same mechanics and gameplay style, but with a brand new world of possibility to explore.
There's another thing that the Geeks Worldwide report mentions as well. You know, this isn't a case of, you know, WB Montreal completely divesting from the idea of a shared video game universe. I think they would be completely daft to, in terms of, you know, looking at where Marvel's Spider-Man is going and where the event, you know, Square Enix's Avengers is certainly teasing. I think we're getting what will probably be the Marvel's game universe, because we've had, you know, it's Marvel's Spider-Man, it's Marvel's Avengers, and all signs currently point towards those two games intersecting in some way. And, you know, I think WB Montreal, or WB Games rather, have looked at that and gone, oh crap, we really need to get our button gear. And, you know, that's an interesting thing here, because the actual report mentions that it will kick off a new, quote, DC game universe, and it will be followed by a next-gen DC game from Rocksteady, which isn't supposedly going to be the Superman game. However, a Superman next-gen game is in development at WB. However, the article does mention that there's no clear roadmap currently. So there is a Superman game being worked on, but whatever Rocksteady are doing isn't going to be Superman. And there's all sorts of stuff going on right now, and it's really confusing my brain. Josh, what do you want to say?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't one of the most recent rumors also suggesting that WB as a publisher were actively taking pitches for a new Superman game? Apparently the one they were working on fell through, which was the one with the leaked Superman, the concept art, and apparently they are now looking actively for pitches for a brand new game. So that would line up with that rumor. For me, Rockstar's game, we've just done GTA news, I'm so sorry. Rocksteady's game, that is the biggest mystery, because we know absolutely nothing about it. All we thought we knew about it was conjecture, and seems to have been disproven by recent rumors. They keep hiring for roles, they keep doing more cap sessions, and yet we haven't heard a peep. At least with WB Montreal, we've got the teasers now, the official teasers. We've had a bunch of seemingly reliable leaks in the past, and they are building towards something, hopefully this 2020 release date, and it makes me wonder, I can't see Rocksteady as a company, you know, not wanting to get out there first and be the ones to define whatever this new era of DC is. If that makes sense.
Maybe they're looking at this going forward as wanting to be a more, you know, equal experience. I think very much it was the case that with Arkham Origins, you could take the cynical approach of being like, well, they wanted a stopgap because they realized that Arkham Knight was going to be on next-gen systems, and they wanted to have a game in between those. And, you know, that's totally fair. I think that's probably how Arkham Origins was developed, but it just ended up being such a pleasant surprise in terms of what it was set out to be. So maybe that WB are looking at that right now and going, okay, if we're going to build a new video game universe, let's do it not as a, you know, like an improvisational thing. Let's actually set out to make the universe this time, which is fair enough. You know, I think at the end of the day, I'm still excited for what's coming forward. I think anyone within the right mind should be, but it's a case of the mystery itself is interesting. We know that the next a Batman game, rather, it's going to take forever to unpack Arkham for Batman, is going to have the Court of Owls involved in some capacity, and, you know, everything else going forward is such a fascinating prospect. The fact that it's not going to be Arkham itself, though, for better, I'm still going to think they're going to be weighing up these consequences for a while to come. I think Batman obviously sells, and any DC video game universe is going to sell as well, but the idea of them just dropping the Arkhamverse, I am going to call it a risk, because it is such, you know, a recognizable video game brand right now, and, you know, you can talk about the naming conventions all you want, but at the same time, Rocksteady built their own aesthetic with the DC Comics universe, and that isn't something to be sniffed at. And you know, in terms of, you know, making sure your own interpretation of that mythos stands out, that's a big undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the reception online. Fans have been ravenous for any new entry in this Arkhamverse, and that's because they are in love with the characters that are established, the look that's established, the aesthetic that's established, the timeline, and I don't think that's something you can just kind of disregard. I do think it's, you know, imperative that it's called a soft reboot.
Yes.
So I imagine some of those elements would be kept because you need the iconography to sell. I wonder whether it's just a kind of story thing to separate it a little bit from what Rocksteady set up before. I'm not sure when it comes to WB's Court of Owls game, to just call it that. The things I was looking forward to weren't really associated with the Arkham branding anyway, so I'm looking at it from a business perspective. I do think it's a big risk, but at the same time, from a fan perspective, I wasn't looking forward to it because it was a new Arkham game. I was looking forward to it because it was, dealing with these villains that I'm not too familiar with. I thought it had interesting angles. Even the sequel Damian Wayne game, I thought that was really cool. Nothing that I've been looking forward to has necessarily been because it's the next Arkham game. It's been based on its own merits, and hopefully, Ewan, we figure out what the hell they've been working on and we get to play it by the end of 2020. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think about the latest Batman Arkham rumor? And do you hope you finally get your hands on it by the end of the year? Either way, though, I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com. You've been watching WhatCulture. This has been Ewan Patterson. You can follow him at Twitter.
You said at Twitter, and then in my head I was like on Ewan Runes things.
On Ewan Runes
You don't want to be on Ewan Runes things.
On Ewan Runes things.
At Ewan Runes things.
I'm at Josh Broom with 2 O's. We'll see you soon.
Bye.